Well, guys, I just made about a 20-minute video while I was doing all my water changes and went to post it and realized that the first minute of the video is right side up and the whole rest of the video, so 19 minutes, is upside down. Don't know how it happened. I'm obviously new to this. So instead of putting it out there, because it's kind of hard to understand and follow and watch upside down, I'm just going to kind of talk about it. So what I do is when I go to do my water changes, I fill up my bathtub the day before. I fill it up with water. Now, excuse me, I do this to remove the chlorine that is in the water, and I throw in 2 extra heaters that I have. I put them in the tub along with just a little pump that I have laying around just to kind of circulate the water, keep everything moving, and keep the water warm. So I usually do that. I've had a lot going on lately. This time I did have to cheat and use a additive to remove the chlorine. I didn't have time yesterday to do that, fill up my tub. So today I filled up my tub. I used the additive. I still put the heaters in there to keep the water warm. I drained all my freshwater tanks. I have a pond pump. It pumps 1,100 gallons per hour. I bought it on eBay for $12 with free shipping. And I went to Target and I got a 50-foot garden hose on sale for under 15 bucks. It screws right onto the pump. Excuse me. And it drains all my tanks really fast. So I go around, I drain all my freshwater tanks, and then I put the pump in the bathtub and I pump the water back into the tanks. Now, once I've done my freshwater tanks, that's when I start on my brackish water. So let's go take a look at that tank. So my brackish water tank is a little bit different. So I still fill up my tub with water. I have my heaters in there. I have my pumps going. And I add the salt then while it's in the tub. And I'll let it... I know roughly how much to fill the tub up and how much salt to put in there because I've done it a couple times and I figured it out. If I fill the tub up about 3/4 of the way and I add 10 scoops with a 1/4 cup measuring cup into the water, it puts it almost perfectly where I need it to be. So I do that, and then I let the salt dissolve. I usually run 2 pumps in the tub for about 15 to 20 minutes with the heaters, let it all circulate, make sure that salt gets really good and dissolved, and then I check it with my hydrometer. Now I check it. If it's right on where it needs to be or pretty close, I go ahead and then I start draining this tank. I'll drain it 50% and then I'll refill it. Now if I have some fine-tune adjustments, I don't mind doing them in the tank. If it's off, you know, if it's off 0.001 or something, then I'll just do that in the tank. If it's off by a few points, then I do that in the tub and I let it run for another 15 minutes to make sure it's good to go. Now, one thing I want to stress on that I've done several times and it's cost me is before you drain your tanks, if your heaters are above your water lines, so if, on this tank here, if I'm going to drain it 50%, this Fluval heater that I have in here cannot be fully submerged. So I have to make sure I turn that heater off and let it cool down before I drain this tank. I've done it numerous times. I've left my heaters on, drained the tank, heater kicked on, bad heater, bad for the tank, bad for everybody. So make sure you turn your heaters off. On my brackish water tank, I have canister filters, and then that's an inline heater that I have on there. Now when I drain those, before I drain them, I turn off my canister filters, I turn off all my heaters, I unplug them, make sure none of them are going to kick on or stay on. Now on the same note, I've unplugged everything, did my water changes, and filled them back up, and then forgot to plug everything back in, which is just as bad. I've killed fish that way. You know, I've had multiple times where I forgot to plug my heaters in. Luckily, I have external thermometers on almost all my tanks, and I look at them every day or every 2 days. So I was able to notice the heater issues, which wasn't a huge deal, didn't kill too many fish. But on this tank, which also has a canister filter on it, last time I did a water change, I forgot to plug the filter back in. Now, what happened was a few fish started dying. I didn't really understand why, and I got to looking around. I noticed that the filter was not running. So if the filter's not running, obviously ammonia is building up, nitrites are building up, nitrates are building up, killing my fish. So I immediately did a huge water change, filled it back up, turned my filter on. Haven't had any issues since then. So make sure, turn off your heaters, turn off your pumps if they're gonna be out of the water when you drain them. Now at the same time, make sure you turn them back on. Both situations are bad. So let me go show you what I use for pumps to drain my water. Now I still have all this in the tub because I haven't cleaned up yet. This is the pump that I bought off of eBay. It is a pond pump. It's sold as a pond pump. Let's see if you can see that. So that's the ratings on it. It's made in China, whatever. But garden hose screws right onto it. I can use it either submerged, which is how I'm using it now, or this front cover pops off and I can use it inline, which I plan on doing here in the near future. The only issue is this fitting here is a lot bigger, so I got to go to Lowe's or something and get a adapter for that, because when I submerge this in my tank, one, it's heavy and it sits on the plants and stuff, which I don't really like. And two, when I go to pull it out of the water, it fills up with water. So I have to do this multiple times, which is a little annoying. So I will, here in the near future, get an adapter so that I can use this just inline. I'll have a hose coming off that I can put in the tank. It'll pump the water out of the tank, and then same thing, I'll put the hose in the tub, pump the water back in. This is my garden hose, 50 foot of hose. It reaches all my tanks no problem. Extra heaters that I have laying around, and just a little pump that I throw in there to help keep it circulated. Pretty simple. Now, why is all this important? I used to use buckets, like I'm sure everybody at some point in the hobby has done, and after a month of using buckets, I stopped doing water changes, and my fish suffered because of it. Only certain fish lived. A lot of them, I had a lot of die off. You know, it was just not healthy. So I eventually realized I had to do my water changes. So I started doing it again, doing buckets, and I did buckets for a long time. And finally, I just got tired of it, and I spent $12 on that pump. Pumps 1,100 gallons per hour. It is crazy how fast it drains these tanks. And then I spent $15 on a garden hose, and I can do all of my tanks in under an hour. I could probably, if I had nothing but freshwater tanks, I could do them all in 30 minutes. But doing the brackish water takes a little bit of time just to get the salt water mix and all that stuff. So for $30, I've made sure that I can do my water changes quickly and easily, which translates into they actually get done every week. And it makes my fish happier, it makes my water cleaner, it makes my filter media last longer, it makes my cleaning of the actual tank, the gravel and things like that, lesser. And it's just better overall. I'd rather spend an hour every week doing water changes than spend 3 or 4 hours, completely tearing down a tank after a couple of months because it's just so dirty that that's the only way to clean it. And it cost me $30, and I don't carry a single bucket of water. I don't break my back, and my water changes get done. So that's my take on it. Even if you were to buy a Python, I would probably, me personally, I would buy the 50-foot one just so I had extra, which I think the last time I looked was like $60. But if you can get away with a shorter one, they're cheap. They hook to your faucet. They'll suck water out of your tank and then pump it right back in. The whole thing here to this video is make your water changes as easy as possible. The easier you make them, the more likely you're going to do them, the happier your fish are going to be, the cleaner your tank is going to be, the better it is for everybody. So I hope that you've got some ideas from this, and maybe you've learned a thing or two. Maybe you're already doing it, and that's great. But if you have any questions or comments or anything that you would like to see, let me know, and I'll do the best I can to give you as much information on it as I can. And I really appreciate y'all for watching. If you get a chance to subscribe. I'm new to this and I'm trying to work it out. I'm sorry about not having a better video actually doing the water changes, but I would rather do this than y'all try to figure out an upside down video. So I appreciate the people that have been watching my videos. There's not a lot of you, but the ones that are, I really appreciate it. If you can subscribe, and we'll get this thing going, and you never know, maybe I can help out 1,000 people, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to help that one person that needs it, and if I did that, then I did a good thing, and I'm happy. I just like sharing my passion with y'all. I love having fish. I love keeping fish. And they are animals, so doing your water changes keeps them healthy. You wouldn't leave your dog outside with no food forever, That's not, you wouldn't treat your dog that way, so why treat your fish in a way of not doing water changes? Why not give them clean, healthy water? I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So I hope you guys learned something. Thank you so much for watching, and look forward to the next one. Like I said, if you get a second, subscribe, and we'll kick this thing off. We'll get going. We'll make tons of videos. We'll have tons of fun, and maybe we can all learn something along the way. Thank you again for watching.